I've had some people ask us on our video when we did the tomato sauce, how many pounds of tomatoes did we use? So Karen just sent me a link to a scale that she picked out, goes up to 12 pounds. I don't think I'm comfortable wasting money on that. We're gonna find us a scale that weighs 40 or 50 pounds so that when we put 15 to 20 pounds of tomatoes, we don't break the scale. In the meanwhile, since the tomatoes are coming in now, I don't have time to wait. I'm gonna measure the tomatoes with a measuring cup. So I have a 4-cup measuring scoop. And I will fill this up with the tomatoes. They're peeled and they're ready to go. And well, you can see we got a last pot boiling right now so I can get the skins off of them. Then we will peel those tomatoes. They will all go in this pot and I will measure them. So then we will know how many cups of tomatoes we have before I cook them on the stove. And then I will run them through the Foley mill. Maybe I'll measure it again, just so we really know what's going on. Hey, this is a learning process for us. I'm learning a lot. Growing the tomatoes was one thing. There's so much more that we didn't even think about. So now, we'll let you know how many cups of tomatoes are in our pot of sauce that Karen's gonna have to come home and all the stuff she puts in, the garlic and the oregano and the basil. She's gonna go outside and chop some more basil. So we'll be back. I'm sure that a bunch of people are going to watch this video and they're going to be wondering, what did I do? What was that extra pot of what looked like tomato sauce? I'm learning some tricks. When you make a pot of sauce every now and then, it's okay to take all day. But when you're processing as many pots of tomato sauce as we're going to be processing this tomato season, we're on our third one. We got about a good month left of tomatoes because we have 7 different stages of tomatoes in our yard. And I'm taking plant branches, clones, off of our plants that are producing very well, and they're now rooting, and I'll be getting them planted next week. So they'll be popping off tomatoes the end of September and October, surely. I'll have a whole bunch of green ones for the winter as well. So what I've done is I've learned that when you first start to heat the tomatoes up after they're peeled, a lot of water is released, just plain water. And then as you stir the pot, more water is released, but there is a lot of tomato stuff floating in the water. So I use a ladle and I pull that stuff off and I put it in a separate pot. Last night, you saw me put it into a pitcher. Mrs. Karen has these big pitchers for making tea. Now I'm going to show you what happens after letting it sit all night. I could let it sit all day, but I have to go to work, so I would like to go ahead and get this done now. I'm gonna now take the most clear water off the top of this pitcher and we're going to discard it. That saves a good 5 or 6 hours cooking time just to get it to reduce. Now, if you're going to fill a pot full of meatballs, you can have plenty of liquid because the meatballs are going to suck it up into the breadcrumbs. But we're just canning sauce right now. You know, she's putting her herbs and her spices in it, but we're not putting meat. We're not canning meat sauce. I don't want to fill jars up with meatballs and then there's almost no sauce in it. Remember, I started with 28 cups of peeled tomatoes. I measured it pretty close with the measuring cup. So we had 28 cups of peeled tomatoes. When I was done last night using the Foley mill, okay, we had 15 cups of tomato sauce. Now I'm going to probably get 4 cups or more back out of this pitcher, which will bring us up to about 19 or 20, which means we will have lost. I stuffed it in the measuring cup and it came out to 4 cups. So we lost 4 cups right away just in pulp. Now we're going to lose a couple of cups in water. Actually, it's very light colored water, not something you want in your tomato sauce. Nobody wants watery tomato sauce. So now when Miss Karen cooks the pot, she doesn't have to cook it for 8 hours to cook it down. She could focus on getting all the flavors and canning it. So here we go. This is the pitcher. It sat in, I guess I put it in the fridge yesterday about 11 o'clock at night. And here we are the next morning at 11 o'clock. So it sat for 12 hours. What do you think? We're going to keep the bottom. And we're going to get rid of that. Nobody wants that in their pot of tomato sauce. That's got to be at least 4 cups of water right there. So we're going to get rid of the water. And we're going to keep that. And we're going to put it back in the pot. So that should bring us up to about 19 cups. I'll let you know in a few minutes. I promise you, this might look ridiculous, but this just saved 4 or 5 hours cooking time minimum. And 4 or 5 hours cooking time might not seem like a lot, but when you got to stop every 15 minutes to stir it and make sure nothing gets burned on the bottom, 5 hours is a long time. And Miss Karen, she's homeschooling our granddaughter. She's taking care of our house. She's taking care of the dogs. She's taking care of stuff outside. She's got to water stuff. So for her to be committed to sitting at the stove for 5 hours is a lot. So this right here, this is not saving 5 hours. This is saving my wife 5 hours of doing something that she could better spend her time doing something else. But the goal for me is to get this done because I guess tomorrow, it poured out yesterday. There was a lot of rain yesterday. It may rain again today. So I know by the next time I get out there with a basket, it's going to be full of tomatoes. And I think that's about good right there. Let's see. That's pretty close. I mean, I could still skim a little bit more off the top, but I'm okay with that. It's about halfway, right? Half of that was pretty much clear liquid. I might take one more scoop off. And there you have it. One of our little secret tricks of the trade. Okay. I'm not pouring that out. I'm going to drink that. I'll tell you right now. I may have to try to make some homemade V8 juice. What do they got in there? Some celery, some onions, some tomatoes. Just whip it all up in the food processor. We'll see how that turns out. Maybe we'll have us another video. What? There really is only a couple of seeds in here. I might just dump that right in there. When we get to the bottom, I'll strain it because the bottom has a lot of seeds. Okay, so I figured it was going to be about 4 cups. There's a little left in the pitcher, but it's got a whole lot of seeds, and it's too thick to go through the screen without a headache. So here we are. Started with 28 cups. Now we got 19 cups. That's 19 cups of straight tomato sauce. Miss Karen will put her stuff in there. It'll cook. I don't know how many quart jars that comes out to. I don't know how many cups. I guess 4 cups goes in a quart, so we'll get 4 or 5 quart jars. Just a couple more little soldiers in our closet. And I'm going to see if I can get this stuff through the strainer. But I went ahead and I ran the last of it through the strainer, and I'm glad I did because as I was pulling that water out, it wasn't hot yet. It was still just mildly warm. So those seeds are going to be viable. I'm going to go ahead and seed save because I have not seed saved from our Roma plants yet. This is our 3rd year on these Roma seeds and these plants, and the tomatoes are getting bigger and fatter every year. So I might as well go ahead and seed save these seeds. Hey, there they are. I'm going to go ahead and I'll include that in my seed saving video that I'm in the middle of doing. I've been videotaping. I just got to put it together. But guess what? We got a little over another cup and a half. So we brought it back up to 20. So we got 20 cups of sauce, 4 cups of pulp, and that leaves 4 cups of water we spilled off. So for the people that were asking us and the lady that asked how many pounds, I ordered the scale. It's on the way. Next time I'll actually weigh them. But for now, I hope this helps a little bit. And we're learning as we go. And the benefit. By skimming the water off in the beginning before it gets really hot. That'd be a lot of tomato plants.
We had a comment from a viewer and they wanted to know the amount of tomatoes we were using. And I'm so glad that that lady asked, because what we did was he went and he got me this scale on Amazon. It's about $25. So now I will be able to weigh and give exact measurements, because my heart is to share with you everything I can, as simplistically as I can and as accurately as I can. All right, so I just went out. We're having a horrible rainstorm again. And I just went out and I harvested herbs. I'm so excited about them. Okay, so I think I've shared this once before, but what I do is I take garlic, and a lot of it, process it in my food processor to a mince. I don't, some people like to put it in oil. I don't prefer to do that. It's fine just as it is. And I press it into ice cube tray compartments, and then I can use them just like this, so it's a time saver later on. So for this pot of sauce, we're gonna pull out 3. I have 2 medium onions that I chopped. That's going down into the pan. Okay, so while the onions are cooking, I'm taking 1 cup of freshly chopped basil from the garden, putting that in the sauce, and 1/4 cup of parsley from the garden into the sauce. And we're going to simmer these down, and then I took out 3 ice cubes of garlic, and it equals 1/2 cup of garlic. It sounds like a lot, but remember, we're doing a lot of tomato in a pot, okay? So once the onions simmer down, I'm using that as a bed, and I'm going to begin to saute my garlic. So my garlic, I want it to cook, but I don't want it to burn. Okay, and I'm going to take some dried oregano. It's about right in the palm of my hand, and toss that down. So we're at the place with the onions where they're turning a little bit brown and they're mainly translucent. This is the minute that I'm going to take my 1/2 cup of garlic and add it in. And now I will start sauteing all this down into the onion.
What is this dog doing? You're messing up my video, Lila. She's zooming around the house.
Okay.
Did you hear her?
Uh-huh. She's in a place
Tearing it up.
you know what it is, because she just had surgery and now she's over it, and she slept
Yeah,
for the long
she just had surgery, so she's been locked up in bed for a couple of days.
Right.
So now she's doing her zooms. She don't care about our videotape.
So, oh, that's true too. So you see I'm mixing it in with the garlic, and I want to saute this down just for a few minutes.
Wow.
What, honey?
It smells incredible. I want to eat that right out of the pan.
Oh dear.
You too?
Oh,
Look at his little tail wagging. Get out of here.
That's on Maxie.
We shooting video.
Okay, now we're going to do a little salt and pepper. So, just a pinch. Go around with a pinch of it. And sea salt. Go around with a pinch of that. And a little bit more, and then we're going to get this into the sauce and let this cook in the sauce with the herbs. And then I'm going to say about 2 hours from now, this will all be combined. The flavors will be all melted together, and then it's time to can. So it's a bit over I'd say about 2 hours, 15 minutes. The only thing I had to do with the sauce is add a little bit more salt. It's ready to go. And so now I'm going to use my Presto canner. First step is loading it up to the line with 3 quarts. I like to keep everything the same temperature so your jars don't bust, of hot water. 3 quarts of very warm water filled to the fill line in the canner. Then you take your jars and you fill them half. I use quart-sized jars for sauce because usually when you're making a meal with sauce, you're using a decent amount. And I'm putting 5 in. Okay, so now I press the level up because it said insert jars, and I have. Press the level up and lock it. Okay, so next step is filling the jars. That's what it says. So we're going to unlock this, twist this and unlock that. Now my jars are nice and warm for what's gonna go in them. And I am going to dump this water out. Because of the pH of tomatoes, we need to add an acid to the jar. So it's going to be 2 tablespoons per quart. 1, 2 in each one real quick here. And so now I'm going to fill the jars. 1/2 inch headspace. So the reason why we leave a certain amount of headspace is so that as it's pressure cooking and heating up, the contents won't come out of the jar and go all over the place and make a big mess in the cooker. I just wiped all the rims with vinegar. So the tomatoes that we just did gave us 1, 2, 3, 4 quarts and 3/4 full.
So I guess we're gonna save that one for cooking.
All right, now I'm gonna take my lids and put these on. Take our rings and we put them on just until it's finger tight, not too tight, finger tight. Okay, now we put our lid on again, lock it over, put this down. Now we're gonna go up another level from fill jar to heat. And then eventually what's gonna happen is I'm gonna have to take the stopper here and put it up and have this right in the middle where it says can.
What is that,
And
the
then-
weight?
Yeah, and then the canning process will begin. So it says now put regulator on, so we're gonna take this and as I said, this part here is gonna go right in the center where it says can. And I use a pot holder because the steam coming out could burn you badly. So now we're gonna go level up again, and there we go. In a few minutes, it's gonna start counting down, and then it's actually gonna be doing its pressure. So now we just press the X and hold it, and that's it. So, take this off, pull this off, and out come our jars.
What are you gonna do with that one that's like half? You're gonna have to save that because we can put that in the cabinet, right?
Oh no.
At least we know it's good for now.